Morning, Nicolas.
Thank you very much. Today I'm going to be talking about Medicroll. Medicroll is an example within Swissmedic and the process of digitalization that we are living in the organization itself. So this is what I want to show you today. It's just one of the many efforts that we have, but it's one that is very dear to me, so I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. So first, I would like to put you in context. I know that not everyone here understands or knows what Swissmedic is. Swissmedic is the National Authorization and Supervisory Authority for Drugs and Medical Products. It ensures high quality, safe, and effective medical products. It's similar to the FDA or the EMA, if you're more familiar with those organizations. So first, before we go into the product itself, I would like to present to you with a case that sounds more familiar to you. So you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital, and you need to buy a medicament because the doctor told you you need medicaments A or B. These are prescribed to you. Now, when you get out of the consult, you instinctively think of getting this in the pharmacy. You go on your phone and you check out what is it that you need to consume. And you see these offers that are from online markets that offer free delivery. In the times that we're living now, this is like a completely normal step, and you could evaluate if this makes sense or not and do it in an online process. What happens when this product has side effects, things that are not expected? Maybe the medicament is not doing what you were expecting to do. The side effects or the illegal product that might have been delivered to you is reported to Swissmedic. It might be you, it might be one of the stakeholders, maybe someone in the hospital or in the pharmacy, but another stakeholder will submit this case to Swissmedic. And our personnel, our specialists, will start cases to remove these kind of products from the market. As you can imagine, this process is extremely hard. It's extremely hard to find everything online that is not being correctly sold or correctly offered to patients. If you go online and you start doing some research about what other organizations are doing, you're going to find all kinds of articles. Here I show you a little bit. There are cases, for example, from the HSA, from the FDA, from the MHRA. These are cases from Singapore, from the States, and from the UK. And they're just examples of the many efforts that are to eliminate illegal products being sold online. It's very hard because it's not just that they're being sold online, but across borders. And following with the correct regulations, and so that the regulators can pursue the right products, it's a very cumbersome process and time-consuming. This is important because this affects everyone. When we analyze the situation that I explained to you before, maybe you have all the tools to identify that the product should be illegal, but maybe your parents do not, maybe your grandparents do not, or the younger generation assumes that the quality of online products is high. And so this is a problem that it's ongoing, and that is growing with time. So today I'm going to be talking about this story of Medicroll, the product that we have developed, in 3 stages. First, I'm going to go a little bit more into what Swissmedic does, so you know what our core competencies are and what we do. Then I'm going to tell you about the digitalization unit that we have within Swissmedic, and then I'm going to go into Medicroll itself. So among the core competencies that we have, you see these 3. The authorization of medicinal products, market monitoring of medicinal products and medical devices, clinical trials and laboratory testing regarding the quality of medicines. I picked these 3 because they are very relevant for the context of Medicroll and the technology that we have developed, but there are many, many other competencies that stay and are performed by Swissmedic. These 3 give you a good feeling of what is this market monitoring that we do and the fact that we are the organization within Switzerland, we're part of the government, that takes care of the authorization of therapeutics. So we do this because, as I was mentioned before, the online market is growing, growing, and growing, and the experts can already feel how these reports are starting to increase in size. If you do this manually, which is totally possible, in the way that we do it now, you could increase the personnel, you could increase the number of people that we have at Swissmedic, but it's a very limited approach. And with a market that is growing faster than the experts that we have, this is a very challenging step to take. So now I move to the next stage, which is what is Swissmedic doing for the digitalization? And so Swissmedic, this entity from the government, started a unit within itself that is called Swissmedic 4.0, of which I'm part of. Here we have a combination of software engineers and data scientists that are focused on bringing the organization forward and try to change certain things and the way that we do them. The idea of this unit, Swissmedic 4.0, is to create a space for change and innovation. We identify opportunities, new technologies, new applications that we could develop within the organization. And above everything else, we try to transfer these learnings into the organization. The approach that we have to digitalization has these three pillars. We divide first in human, and this refers to this ability that we have with people to connect in a more personal way. How and who does what. The second part that we have here is the organization processes, and this is how we do things at Swissmedic. And the third part is technology. And I mentioned this above everything because I could go straight into telling you about Medicroll, but Medicroll is a technology that we developed, it's a platform that we developed with software engineers and with data scientists from Swissmedic 4.0, but that would fall into emptiness if we didn't connect with the other departments, if we didn't connect with the culture of the organization and with the experts themselves. So these three different axes in which we work are super important to do the right job. This is my colleague, Dominic Mitchell. We developed this application together. He's an incredible product owner. He has developed an incredible relationship with the experts. And I, on the other side, stay with the collaborators that we have that are external collaborators that help us accelerate the software development. So Medicroll is this application that I'm telling you about and has one clear goal: to look for illegal products in online markets. Which markets? As many as we can crawl. The application evaluates if products are illegal and then suggests the experts to go through with the report case for these products. The goal that we have is to expand coverage of the cases that the experts can evaluate in Swissmedic. And normally we would have a very flat output, how many cases the experts can review. With Medicroll, what we're doing is to expand that coverage, and the more data that we get for training, the more specialized that we can get with the products that we recommend the experts to review. So far, we have been in testing phases since September. We started a DevOps operation, then we moved into a further testing stage, and we have reviewed close to 20,000 additional products. So this is additional to what the experts do alone. From those 6,000, a little over 6,000 were presented to the experts, and from those, over 8 and 20-something are being reviewed, so 8 have been already removed from the market. So this is a tool that started about a year ago, developed fast, went straight to the experts, and right now it's being included in the workflows of the specialists that we have at Swissmedic. Normally, one of these experts would say, for example, there are some cases of STD tests that should not be sold in Switzerland. We need to find them, and for that I'm going to go into these online markets and by hand look one by one and establish these searches. Once I do these searches in these online markets, I generate lists of suspicious cases, which are very long lists of cases to be analyzed. Then I create individual reports. I move into those cases that are confirmed, and I elaborate dossiers. This is extremely time-consuming as a process. What we created was this application that is called Medicroll, which, if you see at the top, has similar buckets. Unprocessed, bookmarked, in progress, suspicion not confirmed, confirmed, and not relevant. The experts, this was completely developed in tandem with the experts. So they were, in every step of the development, they were with us. The experts can easily identify the cases, go one by one. They are presented to them in the number of thousands of cases. This is just an example that I'm showing you. And they can go one by one very fast, label them correctly, so push them in the right bucket, and pursue them if they're suspicious enough. We highlight keywords that highlight, for example, promises of salvation, so products that are promising some kind of health outcome. diseases, medicines, any kinds of relevant keywords that we have defined with the experts. And ultimately, the experts use this more and more within the workflow that they had before. So they're replacing the old way of working with this application. In the background, the application is running, this was developed with our collaborators and with part of our team, is running in Amazon Web Services with a myriad of components. So you can see here how complex the application is. It was not a simple application to build, and it's still in development. But this is too much. So we decided to simplify it to discuss a little bit more clearly what we're doing. On the right side, you can see what are the crawling components that we have. We use diffbot and SERP API, two already available services, to generate the crawling. We go into a bunch of different websites, and we crawl as many products as we can that match the keywords that our experts are looking for. In the top of this diagram, you see we have the front-end components of Amazon Web Services. On the bottom left, you see the database and other services like notifications and whatnot. And in the middle, you have the data processing and machine learning. And this is where we're having more fun with the data to present the actual relevant cases for the experts. The way that this works is that the products come in a flow, enter the application, we generate a first step of filtering for those cases that are only relevant for the Swiss market. So things that will be, for example, delivered, sold, or somehow given to patients in Switzerland. Then we go into a second step where we establish a relevance score. So here we want to do a page ranking of these cases. Cases with a high score lead to more priority. And as a last step, we go with a machine learning model that tags relevant articles. So this is a classification system that we had to develop from scratch. And since it is a new platform, there was no data for us to recycle or to use. We had to start building up from the beginning. We labeled roughly 3,000 cases. We used this for training, and we got our initial results. The way that the model works is very straightforward. We take an input text from one of these variables. Right now we're working in multimodal learning using different sources within the product page. But in the current state, in the way that it's deployed, this takes an input text. There's a lot of processing in between. We take a BERT embedding, and then we use one of the classifiers that we have trained. We use traditional machine learning, and we use exploratory methods. We used GANs, which is one of the methods that has offered the most promise outside of the classical machine learning. And this model establishes basically this true and false flag. Going back to basics, so you know what's important to us, we go back to a typical confusion matrix. In the case that we are talking about, if you focus on recall, the question that recall is describing for us is how many truly relevant articles do we catch? So from all these 100% of cases that are true, relevant for the experts, how many of those are being included? A website or a platform that we have developed with a high recall means that we're catching most of those articles that will be illegal. So we're doing well. This is what the experts consider of value for acceptance. And acceptance is a critical factor for this project to be successful. This is something that for us was a little bit counterintuitive. In the beginning, we wanted to optimize everything as much as possible. But the more that we started doing with the business, the more that we focus on which metrics are important for acceptance. If there's no acceptance, it doesn't matter how good our model does. And recall is the one that describes the best what it matters to the experts. If we don't reach high acceptance, the experts might believe that some of the important cases are being thrown out. And that's not what we want to lead for confidence. So these are some of the data, the results that we want to share with you about the real usage of the application and how this is performing right now. In the x-axis, there are some calendar dates. They don't relate to specific dates. It's more to give you a feeling of the stages in which we worked. The bars represent performance metrics, recall, precision, and F1 score. And the blue line associated with the y-axis on the right is how the data set is growing. The first 5 bars correspond to the development stages, and the last bar are recent tests on data that was collected from AWS, from Amazon Web Services, evaluating real data that was crawled on completely new sets of words, of products. We also performed reverse image searches, so the experts can look for pictures. And if you see here, when we started the development, we started increasing the training data to a point where the performance was extremely high. There, we recognized that there might be a bias that we're generating with the data that we're presenting for the training. We took the next step, and to avoid bias, we took a step back, and we cleaned these data sets that were generated within Swissmedic to generate completely separated test data sets that were on keywords and products themselves that had never been seen for the application. Lastly, I can show you in the right side, in this recent test that we have performed, the precision went down a lot. This means that there's a lot of what we call trash that is being pulled in. So there's a swift a change in the performance of the model and what's recognized as a true label. But the recall stayed high. And that means for us that the acceptance of the expert still remains high. We work closely with them in working groups that meet regularly during the week, and we also feel this acceptance. The future of medical for us at Swissmedic is related to the history that we have had so far. We started this last year. For me, in the experience that I've had deploying a service that is actually being used, this is quite fast. We started with a prototype and an MVP. This lasted about 6 months until we had something that was deployed and working. Then we started a DevOps operation with the IT, the traditional IT department from Swissmedic. And now we're preparing the product backlog to move into the next stage of this product. So in June, we want to start with new features. We want to start with machine learning monitoring, which is something that the experts want to see themselves in the platform. And we want to expand this to monitor new markets. If I can leave you with a message, like a take-home message, is how we, maybe as data scientists, focus a lot on the performance of models, and we want to do the coolest possible model inside. But the experience that we have with Medical is that the critical aspects lie really with the work with the experts and bringing down those silos between the different departments that are within the organization. This is the way that we're reaching success inside. And this product is one of the ones that we appreciate the most that we are developing because of the high acceptance and, so to say, popularity that is reaching within the organization. So I finished with that. If you have cool ideas or something, maybe a new technology that you think that could help us with the crawling, please come to me with the coffee break. I'm very happy to connect and to learn from you. Thank you very much.